This is week 5 of DGST 101, and this is probably my last live stream that I'm going to do for this term, for this class. Might do one more, but probably not. I've run out of things to teach. I've run out of things to explain. So, although sometimes the final wrapping things up conversation is good, but today will kind of be that anyway. So just waiting. I'll give it a few minutes before getting into anything serious. But hope you all are doing okay today. It's a weirdly cloudy. Well, the clouds aren't weird, but it's an unusually cool day today. It's feels like it's in the 60s. I don't know. It might be a little higher, but it's definitely. I almost needed a jacket out today, which is unusual in the middle of June. So, but I'll take it, right? Helps the garden grow, actually, having some cooler weather. We can water the garden, let it grow. We've had our peas are coming in. Some tomatoes have started coming out. None are really ripe yet, but my daughter ate a green tomato just to prove that they were edible, and she said she liked it. So, I don't know. It's a little early, I think, for tomatoes. But our broccoli, we're growing broccoli this year, and it's coming in okay. I think it's about ready to pick one of them anyway. So yeah, still don't have any viewers, so I'm still just kind of rambling until I see some viewers show up. But I'll get started nevertheless in a minute because it is going to archive this, and that's good enough. By the way, I hope these live streams have been helpful. They're in a way easier for me to do than pre-recorded videos because those need to be edited, and editing takes a long time. So I kind of like doing these, but I also want to make sure I'm doing what's the most helpful for you all. I don't know if the normal course feedback thing is active for summer classes. I didn't think to look, but if it is, then you will see a link in Canvas where it's evaluate this course or something like that. Of course, please do that if you see that. But if not, I'd love your feedback on the course just in general. You can send me a note. That wouldn't be anonymous, I suppose. But, especially how the live streams work. This is a newer thing for me, so I'm curious to see how it goes. If you're watching this, then obviously you're watching it, and that's great. But I'm curious for those of the class who haven't been watching these, maybe why not, and what might have worked better as far as connecting with them. So anyway, if you have any thoughts on what works and what doesn't, then by all means let me know. All right, so I just noticed I have a weird green edge on me, maybe because I'm wearing a red shirt and it's having a hard time with the chroma key background. That's okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so 6 viewers, great. That's good enough. We'll get started. So let me switch my scene over. And let's see where I have multiple scenes here. That's unusual looking. Why is it over there? Let's go like this. I've been setting it up for grading, so I haven't been totally normal here. Sorry about the adjusting. Yeah, that works. What is that? Oh, you're seeing part of. Oh, because I adjusted a little bit. There we go. Yeah, the edge of my green screen was showing a little bit. Anyway, so what I wanted to do today, two main things. I wanted to talk about the final for this class, which you see here. This is the Mediated Metacognitive Meditation. That's an alliterative name that I got carried away with, but I like it. So I'll explain what that is and what I need from you for that. And then I also want to update you on the web literacy project and how that's coming along. I want to show you what it looks like on the admin side from the standpoint of publishing it. And as a way to remind you that there's still a lot of work to be done on some of the articles, so make sure you do that work. But that's the kind of thing that can be done as part of your week 5 work. So let's take a look at it. This stream, I think, probably won't be that long because these are really just the two things I need to cover today, and then that might be it. Of course, if you have questions while I'm streaming or comments, let me know in Slack or in Twitch. So let's take a look at it. This is the assignment page in Canvas as you're used to seeing things, and it's pretty short description. The main idea is to take something that you already worked on and then do some more with it. I mean, that's the basic idea. This is such a short semester, such a fast semester. Many of the projects are the kind of thing that could be much better if you could get a lot more out of them if you spent 2 or 3 weeks on them. But in this semester, maybe you only had 2 or 3 days, or even 2 or 3 hours. So this is your chance to take one of those projects that you felt like deserved a little bit more attention and give it that little bit more of attention. In the feedback videos that I'm still working on for you all, I'm trying to give you a suggestion about what things you might want to focus on. In some cases, there's a missing assignment, so that would be the obvious thing to focus on. But in other cases, there's something where I can tell you really got interested in something but didn't have a chance to expand it or complete it or whatever. So those are things that would be a great choice there. Regardless, I want you to pick something. Try to focus on one thing as opposed to just generally improving everything, although in some cases you may still want to have that opportunity to expand those things. But focus on one thing, something you've already done, and rework it, reimagine it, expand it significantly. So this is something that is a significant next step with whichever project you choose. If you'd like suggestions, I can give you those, but it really comes down to you and what you think you need to spend more time with. This class, like a lot of online classes, is really about, I can teach you things and explain things, but ultimately a lot of the learning you have to be doing on your own. Like, you have to really figure these things out. So that's why for this project, I want you to identify one of those things that you think you could do more with. And that's a significant part of this, like understanding your own work, evaluating your own work, recognizing its limitations, and then trying to solve those. That's the real work of this class. So I hope that you're able to find something. Then, of course, reflect on it. I want you to think about what you've done. So do something and then think of it. And that's the metacognitive part here. And then finally, share it. So share it in some way. So this is going to be something that needs to be mediated. And this is the mediated part of the thing here. It needs to be something that you actually share. This reflection is more than just a blog post, but something that incorporates media in some way. So record a video, edit a video, make a GIF essay, create another web page in HTML or CSS, but in some way use a digital technique to share the insights of your reflection that you gain from iterating that project. Kind of several ways to say it, and you see how there's all these things packed into this title. It's mediated because I want you to share this reflection through video in some way. It's metacognitive because what I want you to pay attention to in particular are the ways that you learned, the strategies that you found successful, the problems that you solved. Like, focus on your learning. Think about how you learn best and talk about that in the context of this particular project. So then meditation is just a synonym for reflection, but it starts with M. So that's why I put those together for mediated and metacognitive meditation. So a bit abstract, but it's really a large, it's a reflection, but on a larger scale than what we've been doing so far this semester. And that's it. So it's due Sunday, and that is a firm deadline because I have to finalize your grades, I think, on, I want to say Monday or Tuesday. So definitely get that in on Sunday because there's not much more time. Like I said, I'm still working on videos for feedback, but I'm, now that you've completed week 4, hopefully I'm going back and I can give you feedback on just about everything that you've done this semester. So hopefully that gives you some ideas about what you might want to revisit for this final, and hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, I can't really show you any examples of these because these are all fairly personalized things, but I hope it makes sense. Another suggestion, I guess, that you could consider for this project, in terms of the things that you can revisit, that includes the Hello World assignment, which is what you used to create your domain, probably. In the normal face-to-face fall spring version of this class, the final is I ask students to revisit their homepage and do something with their homepage. So by your homepage, I mean zachwhalen.net or yourname.com or whatever that is. And sometimes that means installing a fresh copy of WordPress and customizing it to be a more general introduction of your digital identity. That is a valid approach to this project. It is a thing that you are iterating. So if that's what you'd like to do, that's actually available for anybody, really, because you all have domains now, and you should think about what you want to do with that home page or the main part of your domain. So those are just some ideas for that. Of course, you will probably have questions about that, so please ask them. You should always feel free to ask questions, even if it's something you're still working on from week 2 or 3. Like, if you still need to work on that, then let me know. I'll help you figure out whatever you need to do to get that, to make that successful. Okay, so let's take a look at the book. So this is Manifold. This is what your work looks like after it's been imported. And I wanted to show it to you because I thought, you should see kind of the final version. And hopefully in looking at it this way, perhaps you'll see some things that still need to be cleaned up and tweaked. I'm still debating the options on this. The Manifold gives me different options as far as what to put at the top. And I think I'd like to write a longer introduction to it right here. Perhaps a whole essay of my own that I'll write to introduce it, but probably just a short 2-paragraph kind of thing right around here to explain a bit more about who we are as a class and how we came to this topic and what this book represents as a set of answers to some questions. I like this title. I'm pretty happy with this title. If you have another suggestion for a title, then let me know, and that would be, we'll see. But I think Practicing Web Literacy in a Global Pandemic, that's the subtitle. I think that's pretty straightforward. I think that works. Now, this is the place where a cover would go. If any of you feel particularly inclined or skilled in graphic design and you'd like to try to create a cover for this, that would be great. I cannot pay you or offer you any credit for that other than I would give you credit. Certainly, I would acknowledge that you created it in the book. So let me know. This is just, it's a class project. So it's just, I don't have any money for it. But there's a few other things we can add here. Actually, each article can have its own cover image as well. You can see where those little placeholder icons are. So if you would like to make an article, like an actual thumbnail image or a cover image for your article, you're welcome to. I can also do a couple of things to present these differently, and I may play with that a bit. But let's take a look at an article. And actually, I'm going to go ahead. Can I edit it here? No, let me get back into my admin dashboard. So this is what it looks like whenever I'm working with the book. I can change things here. This Manifold platform is really nice for publishing things, but it's extremely, I don't know, it's not extremely, it's just, it's something that is not like easy to install in your own domain. So this is something where I'm using the installation of CUNY, installation of Manifold that is hosted by CUNY, the City University of New York. I attended a workshop that they put together on how to use Manifold, and they said I could use their instance of Manifold for projects like this. So I am taking advantage of that offer, and I'm doing that here. So the way I get your articles in here is that these are texts, and these show up as articles here. At least that's the way I've organized them. I kind of don't like the way that presents on the actual individual page, but I don't know. I don't know what else to call them. So this is what it is. So let's take a look at this one again. 5G, does 5G cause COVID-19? And what I did is I made the question the title, and then the subtitle is your answer. I might actually take the Q and the A out for this because I think that's kind of unnecessary. It's kind of redundant. But you can see that otherwise it keeps a pretty good, does a pretty good job of importing your styles. So in text here, like things are plain text, it's all going to be plain text here, and then italicized the title, right? I mean, these things show up pretty well. You can see that it has a hard time with the images. So this is where you really want to, what you should do for this one is put this image in its own paragraph, basically, and then you need to have a title for this image, like figure 1, whatever this is. And a couple other issues, but that's something you need to make sure you do. Also, you may notice if you're an editor for this article, I don't think I have it up here, but actually, yeah, I will go ahead and pull it up. Any suggestions that I've made are not showing up because they haven't been accepted yet. So you have to, if you agree with the edit that I made, you need to accept it, and then it will show up as officially part of the document, and then I can ingest it into the Manifold article. Sorry, this is group 2. There we go. So it looks like, yeah, you may have already actually made that line break edit, or maybe I did. It doesn't update automatically. Like I have to manually ingest it. So maybe I'll try that and see if that has already been fixed. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and do it like this. Let me go ahead and center that. No, not that. See, no, it's attached to that paragraph. I think that's the issue. I find Google Images, images in Google Docs really wonky to work with. So don't feel too bad if you're still struggling with it too, because I'm definitely struggling with it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and accept this edit. This does need a caption, like you need to actually add text here, but oh my goodness, people are running around upstairs. But you know, for now, let's just leave it like this, and I will go in and looks like Jay is on here, whoever that is, maybe Jonah. But I'm going to go ahead to back to Manifold, and I'm going to re-ingest this document, so you'll see what it looks like. Can I just re-ingest it? Or I have to give it the URL again? Okay, hang on. This is group 2, right? Sorry, I'm listening to children. I'm the only parent at home right now. I heard a lot of running. I heard somebody screaming, and now it's silent. Screaming does not necessarily mean someone's hurt. That's just what they do. But okay, I'm hoping everything's okay. All right, so this is what you do. So you connect to what it calls a WebSocket, then you start this ingestion process, and then we see if anything happens that looks wrong. Okay, it's doing some work. It's going really slowly. Usually this just takes a second. Okay, ingestion complete. Let's see what happened here. See if it made any difference. So yeah, I need to update the titles, but that's there. And yeah, this still shows up stuck to this paragraph. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to change the settings in this document and see what else is going there. But hopefully you see the idea that there's a translation process, and so we need to make sure that things are as consistent and clean as possible on the Google Docs side, so that when they get to the Manifold side, they're also pretty good. So some of these things that are formatting related, I'm just gonna fix those and try to get it lined up. Don't worry too much about that. But there is something you do need to worry about if you're group 2, which is this source here, this whole origin story, this seems to have come from a source. Like it seems like you got this from a website. So like unless you are a subscriber to this Belgian newspaper and you took a picture of it yourself, you need to tell me where you got this. You need to include that information in your article by citing it. Otherwise, this is an example of plagiarism. It's unintentional plagiarism, probably. I don't think you're doing this in bad faith, but it is unattributed, and that's plagiarism. That's an honor code violation. So please make sure you do that. It might be one of these sources. Might be Vox source. If that's the case, then you need to say that in the paragraph. So say something like, you know, according to an investigation by Vox, this is where it started, blah, blah, blah. There's actually, I've seen this particular claim show up a lot and get debunked a lot recently. So there might be other sources where you found this, and that's fine. But you have to tell me that. You have not, and it's not telling me that. It's including that documentation in your article, because this is going to be another source that people can look to help fact check this claim. And as it is right here, you're making unsourced claims in this article by saying that it was picked up 2 days later by this Belgian newspaper. Like, how do you know that? So you need to make sure that you document that thoroughly, right? So a couple other things, and make sure you look at my comments on these. I've got, some of these are very minimal suggestions. Some of these are a bit more substantive. So make sure you look at that. I added a video in each Slack channel for each group with suggestions or requests in some cases. So make sure you do that. Make sure you also accept any edits. Some of these, again, are very minor edits, like removing the formatting stuff. Make sure these links get incorporated. You know, I'm not going to go through them all right now, but they all still need some work, and so this could be something that you spend some time on this week. I think that would be a good use of your time. Okay. So do you have any questions about these articles or the mediated metacognitive meditation, which are the things that are due this week? If you do, please ask about them now. Excuse me. Otherwise, I wanted to show you one more thing. I just remembered. I'm actually not sure how to find the link. So let me go to the UMW webpage and see if I can find this link, which is, oh, they got it down on the homepage. That's cool. Yeah. There is the COVID-19 course, COVID in Context course, and I am trying to find where that page is. Well, it's not that. There's the course information. Hang on a second. Let me look at the email that I got. Because today's session, they actually sent out an invitation for anyone to join if you are interested in that. So let me take a look at that. It was one of those emails that comes from Anna Billingsley, so you probably saw it too. But I wanted to, oh yeah, just COVID course. Okay, makes sense. COVID course. I saw your question, John. 1 second. Let me finish this thought, and then I'll get to that. So today's link is... Today's a special session that was added, so it may not actually be on this page, come to think of it. No, here it is. Okay. So social justice protest in the time of COVID. So this is talking about Black Lives Matter protests that have been going on over the past couple weeks. So these are Craig Basie and Justin Wilkes are faculty, and Gaia, I can never pronounce her name quickly. She's a local activist. And then Cameron Coates is a former student, a CDS major, just graduated. So he's been doing a lot with the protest in Fredericksburg and posting a lot of videos on Facebook and doing a lot of stuff. So he's probably going to talk about that. So check that out if you can. I mean, I'm not going to pull up the link, but Anna Billingsley sent out the link to the Zoom, so you can watch that if you're interested in that. You don't have to be registered or anything. You just click the link and you can watch. So I'm definitely going to be checking it out today. I don't think I'm going to be leading a discussion afterward, but maybe I am, and I forgot. But I'll definitely attend the lectures because I think that's going to be really interesting. Okay, so John, I'm working on those today. So John's question is about the feedback and my recommendations for the final project. I'm working on those through the day. I might get done tonight, hopefully. I had a big project I had to finish last night for my wife, and I was helping her with a video project, and I was up most of the night finishing that. So I'm working on your feedback videos. I've gotten several of them done. If you don't hear from me, if you would like to go ahead and get started on something, this is a general recommendation for anybody. You can work on your homepage. Like your domain can be a project to iterate and then reflect on. And I think, John, you already have a pretty well-developed homepage, if I remember correctly. So you might want to do more with it or less or whatever, but that's kind of the generic default recommendation. Otherwise, I'm going to go through and look at them. But yeah, so that's still forthcoming. But until you hear from me, your website, everybody's website, is something that they can work on. Also, the web literacy articles, those are things that everybody can work on. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so I am not sure what else to talk about, but let's see. I can spend a little time looking at some of these web literacy articles. I feel like I've already spent a lot of time giving you all feedback on them, so I don't want to belabor anything. But just to kind of show you a couple more, maybe I'll show you a couple more things that probably could be addressed. Of course, double check spelling, capitalization. Things like YouTube is a proper name, so that needs to be capital Y, and I think it's actually capital T also, the way that they like to spell it. So make sure you do those things consistently, right? I'll go ahead and accept this edit to delete this one from group 1. Also, group 1, I was recommending that you crop this screenshot to make it easier to see what's actually going on there. Make sure you also add alt text on all of these. So that's where if you right click, and I didn't find this originally, but if you right click on an image, you would think that the image options include the alt text, but actually it's this other link here. This is where you should explain what this image is. Okay, so your title could be the same as the caption, then the description should be a little bit more detailed, explaining what this image is, and that should get imported into Manifold as well, and that's important. Okay, so let's take a look while I have you here. I can take a look at the other articles in Manifold and see if anything else crops up as we look at it. Yeah, see, it reverted the title. I need to just change the title on Google Docs, and then it'll just import it every time I need to, and that keeps happening. JavaScript, yeah, that's not. Every now and then Manifold has issues like this, and there's not much we can do about it, except that might be why it was slow earlier. They might have been resetting the server or something. But yeah, so here we go. This is another one, looks pretty good. What is this blank? I don't know what the blank is, but that's something that looks pretty good. Make sure you include your citations, and always make sure you provide sources. So like this particular video, like how did you know to look at this video as the source? Like, was there an article that already answered that question for you? If so, then make sure you acknowledge that article. In fact, it may have been this fullfact.org. That might be the one that you're referencing, so make sure that you acknowledge that in the text that you've written, that this is according to an article on fullfact.org, this claim centered around a video of a woman eating bat soup, blah, 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 like whatever you need to do. Make sure you do that, and I've got suggestions about that embedded in your Google Docs. All right, so it looks like group 3 has been doing some work. Oh yeah, the Canada one, yeah. The biological weapon from Canada. And I think, if I remember correctly, my main suggestion on this one was maybe this whole section on these origin is really interesting and detailed. I think, Rebecca, you were mainly the one doing these things. It's a lot of information, and I wondered if it could be cleaned up, or not cleaned up, but shortened a bit, to make it more clear and make it more of a summary than an exhaustive listing of each issue with it. I mean, I think your takeaway is correct, that this is basically a website that cites itself frequently, and that's not good enough, obviously. So you're definitely on the right track with that. But maybe think about how to just tidy that up a bit to make it a bit easier to follow. Okay, so I believe I'm out of things to say on these streams. Unless there's any more questions. So I'm going to wrap this up. Of course, this will be archived on YouTube, so you can watch it later. But mainly, you're on your own this week, figuring out what to work on for your mediated metacognitive meditation and to finish things up. If you're still working on things from earlier weeks, that's okay. Please do that. You're welcome to do that. I'm not penalizing anything for being late. Obviously, the incentive for getting things done on time is that you can then move on to the next thing. But now we're at the end, and so this is your only, this is it. So if you still need to do these things, now is your chance to do these things. I just need everything by Sunday, because at that point I have to start finalizing your grades in Banner, and I don't have a lot of flexibility with that. So let me know if I can help with anything. I really want you to be successful with this class, so please let me know what I can do. Even if that ends up being, figuring out an alternative strategy to completing some of these assignments or something similar. As always, kind of think about the learning outcomes for the class. Like, go back to the syllabus of the class and think about how you're meeting those outcomes. Oh yeah, that reminds me. One final thing, and then I really will wrap it up. There is a week 5 reflection and report. At this point, you have the whole semester to reflect on, and your mediated metacognitive meditation is doing that to some extent. But in the week 5 reflection and report, I would like for you to propose your final grade for the class. So looking at everything, what grade do you think is the best measurement of your work this semester? So let me know what you think. Also, you may not know this, or hopefully you know this, the flexible grading option has been approved for this semester, so that includes the credit P19. So it's like credit, P19, no credit. And that is probably a better option than pass-fail, but I still think a letter grade is probably the best case scenario for most people. But if there's something, if some of you are on the edge, or you feel like you just want to shoot for a passing grade, go for the credit, no credit option instead of the pass-fail option, because credit still lets you complete this class with the and satisfy the prerequisite for DGST 395. And anything else that DGST 101 does for you, it still does that if you get the credit option out of credit, no credit, as opposed to the pass option from pass-fail. Pass for pass-fail doesn't do those things. Okay, I know it's a little confusing, so if you have questions about how to figure that out for your specific situation, I'd be happy to advise. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching all these streams. This has been pretty fun for me to do. And relatively easy compared to other things I might have done. So hopefully this works. I'm always open to suggestions if you have feedback. All right, well, good luck finishing things. Please reach out if you have any questions. I will be posting your videos in Canvas as soon as I can. And check out the COVID in Context class at 4 if you can make it. That would be great. All right, well, I will see you around. Thanks for everything so far this semester, and good luck finishing things up. Bye.